Hello, Coach Jason here, and today we're going to be looking at the Philidor position. This is one of the most important rook and king endgames to know. In this video for the Philidor position, we're going to focus on what the weaker player in the position can do to draw the game. So the person that's down a pawn, how they can play this Philidor position, which is also known as the third rank defense. I'm going to go ahead and show what you need to do, and then we're going to go through some example scenarios from chess.com in order to show how this works in practice. All right, let's get right into it. Okay, so Philidor actually got his name because his grandfather was a fantastic oboist. He played the oboe extraordinarily well for King Louis VII, and the name Philidor was given to his family. And at that time, our great chess hero here, the great Philidor, was born, and everybody just started calling him Philidor. And the name stuck, so he's always known as Philidor from then on. Philidor was not just a fantastic chess player, he was also a very gifted musician. He created many compositions. He started singing for King Louis XV at the age of 6, and while the choir was waiting for the king to arrive, they often played chess, and this may have been where Philidor's chess mind was activated. Okay, so in this position, black is already lost. There's really nothing that can be done here. Where to go here? If you try to activate your rook, you're going to get checkmated. If we move this rook anywhere, then white is just going to checkmate on the next move, as all these squares are covered by the king, and that one, of course, is covered by the pawn. So this is a mess. There's no real good moves here, and there's no way to really stop this pawn. And the trouble is that the king has made it to this 6th rank in this case. So I mentioned in the introduction, I believe, that this is the 3rd rank defense. Sometimes this is known as the 3rd rank defense. It's just the 3rd rank from the edge of the board. Okay, so we're going towards the 8th rank, so the 6th rank in this case is the 3rd rank for us. This is a problem. This has progressed too far. The king is in the optimal position. This is, when you're trying to stop your opponent from advancing their pawn, you do want to get in front of that pawn. That is optimization of the king, but he's not going to be able to stay here because he missed his chance to play the Philidor position, and we'll take a look at that now. Okay, so here again it is black to move, but we've moved the king and pawn back a rank, and now black has a very excellent move that the great Philidor found for us back in the late 1700s when he was really into studying the game. Okay, so black to move here. You can pause your video if you want to try to find it. If you know it, then, well, great. The move is actually just playing rook to g6 here. Rook to g6, the 3rd rank defense, or 6th rank in this case, or the Philidor defense. So the idea is keeping the king from getting onto the 6th rank, and we would love for him to push the pawn here. Get him to push the pawn, and then we have some nifty play that we can do after that. Rather, we're just going to harass the stronger king. Stronger as, he has that extra pawn there. Okay, so what really can white do here to progress? He could chase us out, but we'll just, if he checks us with the rook, then we can step up here, and he's not gaining any ground there. He could maybe try to go around and attack our rook, but if he does that, rooks are extremely fast, so we can just run to the other side of the board. And so the idea here is we are going to move back and forth with our rook on this 6th rank until he advances the pawn, and then we have some other plans. The reason we would like for our opponent to go ahead and advance the pawn is then it gets rid of the shelter. Okay, so if he pushes this pawn, what we want to actually do here is go ahead and move our rook all the way back to the first rank in this case. So basically kind of as far away from the king as you can get, whether that's the first or the 8th rank, that's where you're headed. And, you know, he gets in position here to maybe checkmate us. Again, the king is covering these squares, pawn's got this one, so this is a threat. But it's time for us to just harass the white king. That's what it is. It's harassment. But it's just fantastic chess play. I mean, it may be annoying, but you know, we're forcing a draw here. Okay, so I just moved his king. So black to move, and all we're going to do is just check the king. Where can he go? You know, if he comes back here, we're just going to check the king. If he comes over here, we're going to check the king. Now there is no shelter. There is no way for the king. You know, the king cannot get behind his pawn. You could go ahead and continue the check as he's approaching you here. That's probably fine. Just keep on checking. But best practice is probably just to go ahead and attack the pawn there. Whenever the king steps away from the pawn, just attack the pawn, and white can make no progress. You're either checking or attacking the pawn. Obviously, you've got to watch out for checkmate threats. You've got to be careful that you always have an escape square. Of course, we've got this one here if the rook was going to come after us. So as I mentioned, Philidor was a great musician. He actually composed more than 20 operas in his time. And above here we have a bust of the Philidor in Paris at one of the opera houses. Okay, so it is black to move here. And what would you do? What move would you make here? Philidor was actually a music teacher, a composer, and a performer by the age of 14. As I mentioned, he learned chess playing with his fellow royal choir starting at the age of 6. Started tutoring at the Café de la Régence with Legal de Camir. I'm not sure exactly how to say that. From Legal, who's also a famous chess player. And Legal, Philidor's tutor, was probably the best player that Philidor played against in his lifetime. So if you don't know this defense, you might be tempted to play this move, rook to d1, check. And this would be a big mistake. You might still be able to draw the game, but it's going to be a lot more complicated. And the issue with this move is if you go ahead and play this checking move, the king finds shelter, and you're going to have a really difficult time going after him. Checkmate is being threatened right now, so this is a serious problem. So we definitely don't want to do that. Instead we play the 3rd rank defense, or the Philidor position. Not to be confused with the Philidor's defense, which is actually an opening. This is the Philidor position, the 3rd rank defense. 3rd rank defense. Or in this case, it's the 6th rank. So yeah, we want to go ahead and drop down here. Okay, and he's going to have trouble. We've seen this. Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at a couple of examples. In our first example here, it's actually white to move, and it's just gone too far for black. Black can't save himself. You can go ahead and pause your video if you want to come up with the move, but I think we can just go ahead and advance this pawn, and there's really nothing that they can do. We'll go ahead and check the king and drive him over first, and then we'll jump to the other side of the board. And now there's really no way to save the position. We're threatening to checkmate once again. If he tries to get away, we're just going to trade rooks, and then we will have a winning position we'll be able to promote. So, all right, so it's black to move here. What are you going to do? All right, so this is the 3rd rank defense, the Philidor position. Again, in this case, we're always counting from the side. So when I say 3rd rank, I mean 3rd rank from whatever edge we're trying to promote on. Or in this case. White is trying to promote on. So the move is rook to g6, and now he's advanced the pawn right away. Yay, we've got a draw. All we have to do is back our rook up, and now we're just going to check him all day long. We can check. We could actually just go ahead and the computer is probably looking for us to just go ahead and go after this pawn again. That's more precise, I guess, than actually checking, but you can get away with doing a bunch of checks and just harassing that king. Okay, so same scenario here. So now what do we do here? Well, we just want to keep on, so you can think about it if you like, but the idea is just to keep the rook somewhere on this rank here. So really the only moves we have for options is either going here or here. I think either is fine. We're going to go over here, and yeah, we can just keep on dancing back and forth here. This isn't going to make any difference. Looks like we could go here or here, and I don't think it really matters. We go here, he pushes the pawn, and so go ahead and pause your video if you want to think about what move you make here. Hopefully you remember the right move. We're just going to go ahead and drop our rook back. That way we can start doing all those checks again, going after the king. That's as far as this program is asking though. But yeah, the idea is to get back there, attack the king, and just be as annoying as possible. Alright, so it is black to move here. So you can go ahead and pause your video and think about this if you like. But we've already got the position where, you know, he's already advanced this pawn. So the idea here is to go ahead and check the king. And this brings up something that I didn't mention earlier. So we can go ahead and trade pawn or trade rooks here because we have a draw on endgame. So we can just go ahead and grab, and we go up and attack the pawn. And you always want to try to stay in front of the pawn to be promoted. Sometimes though you'll take opposition on the king. So it's our move. So we just want to drop straight back. We drop our king back, and now we do have to take the opposition here, but that's no problem. If he advances the pawn, he can't hold on to it. So if he pushes the pawn, we would just move back to e8, and he would have to step away from his pawn eventually. Okay, so black to move here. You can go ahead and pause your video and think about it if you like. What would you do here? Okay, hopefully you remember what to do. So yeah, we definitely do not want to play rook to b1, check. Third rank defense, or the Philidor position. And yeah, we just want to block that king from being able to step onto that rank, onto that 6th rank there. And this is a pretty versatile way of playing. It really doesn't matter what file the pawn is on. It could be rook pawns, knight pawns, or anything in between, and this should work for you. This concludes the video on the Philidor position. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe and hit that like button, and also the notification bell if you'd like to know about future chess videos, as I will be putting out at least one every week, as well as a live session every Tuesday at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, or GMT -7. All right, take care. Have a good week.